Initially, the news that we would be heading into a quarantine was bittersweet. At first, I was honestly relieved. School had been piling on, and the never-ending to-do list of daily tasks was becoming overwhelming. Quarantine felt like it could be a break from real life. Just as quickly as the relief came, though, so did the fear. What if I, or worse, somebody I knew became sick? How long would this last? What would we miss out on?
I remember being very frightened. I think that this fear stemmed from not knowing what was going to happen next. No one knew, which was probably the most unsettling feeling for me. Not knowing how long we will be in quarantine, what this meant for the end of my semester, the summer, and my job left me with a lot of questions with no answers to any. I was also extremely paranoid. The health behaviors that I previously engaged in changed a lot, and I was now adhering to the public health safety guidelines religiously.
The impact of social isolation on my mental health has been insidious. For long periods of time, I can convince myself that this is just normal now, and there's no real reason to not be okay. But when I actually take a moment and let myself feel it, really feel it, there's tension there, below the surface.
I also remember feeling lonely and sad at times when I couldn't see my friends, my family, my boyfriend.
There are extreme stresses. Will there be a graduation? Formal? Celebration? Will I ever get those chances again in life?
One of the challenges that I have faced within the past 6 months has been adjusting to online school. I felt anxious because I was always afraid I wasn't doing enough. Was there an assignment that I was going to miss because I didn't see it? These types of thoughts kept me up countless nights, tossing and turning.
This went on for 2 months, and it felt like it would never end. Like nothing would work out okay, and worst of all, it felt like nothing mattered. None of my effort, hustling, grinding, was making any dent, and that was truly the most disheartening feeling. And then there's just a subtle feeling of being trapped with no way of relieving the pressure. And when I think about that, I just feel regret. Regret for not realizing what we had when we had it, for missing events and nights out like they weren't numbered.
I stay connected through phone calls, FaceTime, texting, Facebook, Instagram. It isn't necessarily that I have a hard time communicating this message, but sometimes it may be that it just simply isn't said enough. I love you, and I care about you, and I will be here any time that you need me, no matter what. It's okay to feel sad sometimes and have a bad day, but just remember that you have so many people who love you, and keep going because you can achieve whatever you put your mind to.
If I could tell my loved ones something that has been difficult to let them know, it would be how much I truly miss them in ways I didn't expect. They've been keeping me afloat in ways I didn't realize. I love them so deeply, and I've realized that these relationships that are never at the top of the to-do list are truly some of the most important pieces of my life. So on that note, I would also tell them I'm sorry. I'm sorry for taking you for granted.
I want to tell them just how much I love and appreciate them. I lost my grandma at the end of August to a sudden heart attack. This made me feel heartbroken as she was very close to me. Seeing the rest of my family so hurt is a feeling that is hard to get over.
The time that I spent in self-isolation, I made working on my mental health a number one priority. I read a few books and talked to a trusted person about my mental health. But most importantly, I faced my own mental health head on. I am now very comfortable with my anxiety and have turned that once horrible dread into a motivator and an alarm to realize that the anxiety that I'm feeling is telling me to do something that maybe I have neglected doing.
Lonely. As someone who is fairly self-deprecating, quarantine helped me to work towards pushing as many negative thoughts out of my head as I could. The thing I took away the most from this year is to really tell the people who mean the most to you how much you love them. Life is so fragile. You have to appreciate every moment.
And what have I learned most from this year? The first is the importance of showing your loved ones you care. The second is the importance of appreciating the little things in life. And finally, the importance of taking care of your mind and body.
I have learned that we can't take anything for granted. Anything. Our time as young people, our milestones and rites of passage, none of it is guaranteed. We can plan all we want, but at the end of the day, these things are largely out of our control. The control aspect has been hard for me to accept. But more than anything, I no longer want to waste a single second.